Good afternoon. I'm thankful to be with you for a few minutes and to have a chance to share some things with you a little more personally this month. First off, as we anticipate and celebrate the birth of Christ Jesus this Christmas season, it reminds me of all of the gifts that God has given me, including you, your friendship, encouragement, prayers, and support over all these years. And I want to say thank you. After 10 plus years of ministry together, I also thought that this would be a good time to try to share a little bit more personally with you what has been going on in ministry and what's coming up for us. So I thought I'd do just a couple minutes, a brief 10 years of ministry in review, because it helps me sometimes to look back and think about all the ways that I've been privileged to serve God and be used by Him on campus and around the world at this point, right? And I know that it's good for you, especially at a distance, to know how your prayers and support have been bearing fruit in me and among the students and staff that you help me to serve. So as I look back over the last 10 years, I look back at 2 chapters at Clarion University and Grove City College that I served collectively for 7 years. And on those campuses, I got to shepherd dozens of leaders. I got to walk with them through some of the hardest times in their lives. I got to rejoice with them in some significant joys in their lives. I got to train them and develop them and prepare them for the world outside the campus. I got to lead some to faith in Jesus. I got to see student leaders graduate and take initiative in their churches, workplaces, and communities. And I've seen a few of them join me on staff, which is a wonderful privilege. Additionally, in my current role for the last 3.5 years, I have personally led 33 students from our region overseas. I have sent 11 other teams overseas for spring break or summer programs, and have had the opportunity to train students and be involved in ministry in Jamaica and Bolivia, to influence ministry in Guyana and in Eastern Asia. And you have contributed to all of this and more. Specific example of our partnership, you and I, our partnership, is you may recall from my April prayer letter, if you received those emails, about the program in Jamaica. We had ended up on a campus that was a last-minute change from the week before we left. We hadn't gotten permission yet to be there. It's Caribbean Maritime University. We wanted to be at Port Royal, but didn't hear back from our connections on campus yet. And so we went to the main campus by the airport, about 40 minutes away from Port Royal, half an hour maybe. And the student president of the fellowship came out and said, I don't think we should go there. I don't think much is going to happen. There's nothing going on there now. I don't see any reason to go. Let's just get you lunch here, and then we'll do evangelism on this campus. And Paul, my counterpart there in Kingston, said, no, I think if we got permission this morning to go to Port Royal, let's go and see what God will do. In 2 hours of evangelism, I can't remember how many times we shared the gospel, but I know 9 people gave their lives to Jesus on a campus that we weren't planning to visit and which we almost gave up on, which was a last-minute change from from the week before we left for Jamaica. That little investment, that little opportunity to say yes to God, has now led, with some initial help from the main campus by the airport in Kingston, from the students there, has now led to a thriving and independent fellowship on campus there. That is a witness to the rest of the student body and administration. It was just an amazing thing to be a part of. You were a part of making that happen. Additionally, back here at Oakland University in Southeast Michigan, the leaders who went with me to Jamaica this year, who were a part of that work at Caribbean Maritime University, these students went back to campus with a bigger vision for evangelism, a greater sense of ownership of the calling to be a part of God's purposes there, of their calling as witnesses on campus and beyond. And they said, well, This isn't so bad. This is actually really exciting to be a part of what God's doing. We can do this at home, and everybody else should be doing it too. Their zeal and enthusiasm for the gospel, their willingness to take risks, their willingness to be vulnerable has led to a distinct shift in the atmosphere, the character of the fellowship. There's an excitement about evangelism. There's an anticipation that everyone involved will experience God in some way. Because they have experienced the gospel as good news for them and their community, they are convinced that it is good news for everyone else around them. You were part of making that happen. Thank you for making this possible. As I head into my sabbatical, which I recognize may be news for some of you, and I'll share a bit about that, but as I head into sabbatical, I want to make sure you're aware of our current needs. First of all, this sabbatical, after 10 and a half years of ministry, it's a chance to rest, to recover, to be refreshed, to give God some room to work out the stuff that's built up in me over 10 plus years, and to prepare me for a new season of ministry. The secondary goal is to gain skills and experience that will help me contribute in more significant and meaningful ways to the cross-cultural ministry and leadership training in our region, and perhaps more broadly in our national movement. Because of what sabbatical is and what it's meant to be, some things must necessarily, though temporarily, change. And one of those things is the time and effort I put into fundraising. That means that I won't be spending any time doing fundraising from January through June, the last 6 months of our fiscal year. That means that what I hope would happen over the next 7 months typically needs to happen in the next 3 to 4 weeks. To that end, I want to make you aware of two needs in particular. First of all, I've got $3,500 to $4,000 worth of sabbatical expenses that have not yet been committed, and that is for the training and certifications I'm planning to pursue in the spring that will help me to do my job more effectively and be able to invest more significantly in the growing ministry in our region and across our movement. Apart from that, there's also $900 a month of ongoing funding that we need to be fully funded. And what fully funded means is that I can focus nearly exclusively on the ministry at hand, would give me room to develop new things, to invest more in our staff and students, to be on campus more. And I'd like to ask you to please consider with God what you might be able to do to help us in this unusual season so that we can focus on resting and preparing for the next season of ministry. So I wonder if perhaps you can offer an additional gift of any kind this month, maybe particularly to help us cover those sabbatical expenses. I wonder perhaps if you can increase your current gift by $25, $50, or $100, or maybe whatever you can joyfully do. I wonder if you can begin adding financial support to your faithful prayer support this year. Any of that would be helpful, and all of it would be a gift. What I ask, so that I can keep good track and plan well and responsibly, is that you please let me know what you'd like to do, including how much you think you'll send and how often. And then you can set up your gift at give2iv.org/Todd_Harris. Thank you very much for your partnership, for your prayers and encouragement. They've meant a lot to me, to us over the years, and continue to encourage and bless us. Have a Merry Christmas